What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Dual Hemisphere Hangout. As always, I am one of your hosts, Luke, and join with me every single week. We have my lovely co-host, Jake. Jake, go ahead and say hello to the people, man.
Hello, people. How are we all? Are we doing well? I hope we are.
I hope so. I hope so. You know, Jake, we were sitting here talking about it, and to be fair, we have no idea what we're talking about today. Jake was not a good friend, and he ignored my message, and I said, "Hey,
I was the
got
worst
any idea?"
person. I was
But
honestly the worst person you could ever be. Like, when did you message? Was it Tuesday or Wednesday?
it was like Tuesday. I mean, yeah,
Oh
it was
my
Tuesday
god,
or
it's
Wednesday.
Saturday now for me. It's Friday for Luke. But like, he messaged me going, "What do you want to talk about on the podcast?" And then I replied to him on Friday,
Yes.
completely disregarding the message that he sent.
I know. He's just telling me a little bit. I don't mean, to be fair, you've had a little bit of a hectic week. I don't know if you want to dive into that
Uh,
side. I think it might be a little bit more
I think,
personal, but
yeah, I think we should. I think we definitely
yeah.
should. Um, so yeah, I got the so it all happened on Wednesday.
Okay.
Monday, Tuesday was pretty busy. We had a very big procedure in the lab going on Thursday, so that was like big prep. In
Okay.
fact, no, it happened on Thursday. It so I had a 19-hour day on Thursday. Wednesday was pretty
Ooh,
bad. It was like 10, 12-hour work day.
okay.
Um, worked from 10 until about 9 p.m., 8, 9 p.m. Got home, and then the next day was the big procedure that we had to do, which takes hours upon hours. So I had to get up at 5 a.m. I was in work for 6:30, and then I didn't leave work on Thursday until I think it was 1 in the morning. I missed my last train, so Rach had to come pick me up all the way so she had to drive like 35 kilometers just to pick me up in the middle of the night. Um, but during that really long procedure, when I'm in the clean room, I get a lovely email from my estate agents. If you don't know, I currently rent this property. We blew
Hmm.
all of our money trying to get to Australia. Um,
Yeah.
so they were in no position to buy a house, especially when they're wanting 20% deposits down here, um,
Oof.
which is a vast amount of money,
Yeah.
considering the average house price is like $800,000. So that's like what,
Yeah.
160,000
Hmm.
dollars deposit, and then
Yeah.
you need about 200K when you take into account solicitor
Oof.
fees and
Yep.
all
That's
the
not even the
uh,
loan. That's a
all
lot.
the
That's a lot.
all the government taxes and stuff that they love to rip
Yeah.
apart.
That's a lot.
Uh,
That's a lot.
I get the lovely email that we were told when this house sold, whenever a while back we were talking about the podcast. I think on the podcast we had to
Hmm.
pre-record a lot of it because we
Yeah.
had people walking around the house because they were looking to buy it. We were told that the investor had bought the property and we could continue to rent, which was perfect.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
Because if a person that wanted to move in did buy it, we could have
Mhm.
at least had until now, because our contract ends next month. We could have had all that time to find a new place, get a new place hooked
Mhm.
up, even maybe leave early so the new person could come in, but it would be on
Mhm.
our terms and our time. I get a lovely
Yeah.
email saying that the landlord has decided to move in. Um, so he wasn't an investor at all. He was actually looking to buy. So
Oh,
we
wow.
now have 4 weeks to find a new
Yeah,
place,
30 days.
approximately
Oof.
30 days to find a new place. Or the dual hemisphere hangout will become a single hemisphere hangout again, Luke, because I'll be going back to the UK.
No, 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 no. That won't happen. That won't happen. You'll find something. You were telling me that you've got some viewings you're already looking at. So I mean, I guess in a sense, I mean, if you guys are able to lock down a place, it'll be a blessing in disguise because it seems like at least a lot of the places you've already looked at are an upgrade to what you're at right now. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
always a
just
positive.
the cost of it all.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, the
it
cost. Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's no fun. It's no fun moving. No matter if it's a big move, a small move, or right down the street, it's still a move nonetheless. Still got to pack everything up, unpack it, transportation fees. It's just
cleaning
it's not
fees.
cleaning fees. It's not a cheap or a fun experience no matter what. I mean, we really have our second ever podcast episode title is entitled "We Hate Moving" because of how much we hate moving.
Yeah, I
Because
think this is,
we
the
just
3rd time in 2
yeah
years we'll be doing it,
yeah.
which is
Well, hopefully
not
after
good.
this one, you guys will be settled for a while, and you will not have to be moving anytime soon. So just make
Yeah.
sure. Let's just hope no. Let's just make sure we're not looking at any properties where someone can come in and buy it. All
I
right.
think it's they're all for rentals. They're definitely all for rentals that we're
Yeah.
looking at. It's just
Yeah.
that there'll be a lot of people there. And, like,
Yeah.
we'll be up against, I wanna say, like, up to 100, 200 people. I
Well,
mean,
I mean, you guys are.
we are in a good position where we don't have kids and we don't have pets and we don't smoke,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're young
Yeah.
professionals, so you kind of
You've
understand
got.
that, like,
Yeah.
it could be worse. We're probably the ideal pair to look after a
Yeah.
property because we don't have anything that can make it smell or
Yeah.
draw on the walls like a little fucking gremlin
Mhm.
running around throwing up on the carpets.
Yeah. Yeah, and you guys, and I mean, not divulging any information, but you definitely probably they're not going to be worried about your credit
Oh,
history
no,
or
my
anything
credit
like that.
score is consistently going up, which is great,
Yes,
because when I
yes,
came here, I had to start afresh, and that was
yes,
really annoying because in the UK, I had, like, a solid one, like
yeah.
800, 900
Really
out of
good.
1,000, like,
Yeah,
you
beautiful.
booming. I'm on my way
Mhm.
back up to the 800s. It dropped me down to,
There
like,
you go.
650.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's crazy. The amount of stuff when it came to applying for apartments, the amount of times they would have to just do a hard pull, and it would just wreck my credit for a month. I'm like, bro, leave me alone.
Yeah, I don't
But
understand why they have to hard pull you like that.
I don't know, man. I mean,
Like,
it's just
a
crazy because
soft pull shows you everything,
shows you
anyway.
everything that you need. I guess a hard pull. I don't really know the difference between a hard and a soft pull, but I think like a hard pull, they're really just looking at the real deep. Like, all right, how many missed payments have you had? How many da da da? Da? How many da 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 da? Da? How long ago was the missed payment? Stuff like that. They probably have a lot. They probably get into a lot more of a hard data reach of like your loan history and credit history and stuff like that versus a soft pull that probably just looks at your basic Trans Am and FICO score in the United States, and it's like, all right, you're all right. So who knows? Who knows? But they always say it's going to be a hard pull, especially when you're applying for an apartment. So it's
And
never
then you
fun.
apply for multiple, and it's like you get to a
Yep.
point where it's like, oh, you think you've got it, and they've hard pulled you, and then they tell you you haven't got it, and it's like, oh, mate,
Oh,
why?
thanks.
Why?
Why? Now when I go to hard pull again, like, oh, well, what happened recently? You dropped 50. Yeah, because I applied for an apartment, didn't get
I
it.
need
Yeah,
somewhere to live,
bastards.
man.
I,
Help
I
me.
need somewhere to live. Help, help. But no, that's crazy. I mean, it's definitely no fun. Yeah, I know when you texted me that, I was literally on the way to work, and I was like upset for you. Like, what the? I was like, what the fuck? Hell no, absolutely
It's
not.
the
But
abruptness of it that did it. Like,
yeah, no, it
it
just
it
sucks. It was just
our mood has been pretty good this week. We've had a lot of, like,
mhm.
good news, and then one thing just comes and it's like
Oh
rips it
yeah,
into a it 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 all seemed to be going too well. Like, we were
yeah.
getting, like, back to back to back, like, really good
Hmm.
news, and then it just all shattered.
Dude, it's
Absolutely
crazy.
shattered.
It's crazy you mentioned that because I kind of had a very similar week. It was very much a pretty good start to the week, and then like out of the blue, like so many people just were like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And we lost like five people in like a week. And I'm like, what is happening? And it was all back to back to
Yep.
back to back. And I'm like, and I mean, our profession, I mean, it does have a good amount of turnover, but usually, like, the turnover isn't like maybe you might lose like a one person every 1 to 2 weeks or so. But it was just like everyone, they're like, ah, and I'm like, no, what's going on? But as always, we always grow and recover. But it's just like week was going great, and then Wednesday hit, and went boom, 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 and I'm like
It's always
looking
Wednesdays as
around.
well. It's always
Yeah, it's the
Wednesday,
middle of the week.
Thursday. It can never just hit me
It's
on
the
the
middle of
Monday
the
when I'm
week.
already depressed.
I know. It's like waking up. I gotta go to work. What bad news happens? And you're like, oh man, Monday's treating me pretty nice. I was really nice outside. Da, da, da. Okay. And then Wednesday comes around, they're like, you thought you were having a good week, and then bam. But
But yeah, like,
it is what it
clouds
is.
and silver
Adult life.
linings and all that, like, when we do
Yeah.
if we do get a property here, It will be a significant um, upgrade on what we have now because obviously when I moved, I couldn't view this property. It was kind of just like I'm in the
Yeah.
UK right now and I need somewhere to live. Help me out.
Yes.
Um, other than
Now,
that,
is this place gonna have good AC though? Air conditioning. It's
that's
gonna
what
have central.
it's been a mandatory that we want aircon in the bedroom. We need it in the bedroom. Like I'm
Yeah.
sick of living with fans just blowing on me,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
just circulating the air,
Yeah.
the hot air around the room.
No one
I
wants that.
mean, if it all goes to pot, yes, it will be a stressful move back, but like I'm moving back to family. It it it, it doesn't. It, it
Yeah.
honestly doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
The stress
Yeah.
of it
That's
really
fair.
doesn't bother me anymore. It would just be
Yeah.
the cost of shipping the essentials back, which would
Yeah.
be a bit a bit crappy, and then we'd have to
Yeah.
constantly pay for a unit to store
Mhm.
all of our stuff in, and then whether we can get family members down here to sell it as we
Yeah.
go. Um,
Mhm.
and then obviously I'd have to find a job going back to the UK.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'd find one fairly quickly at my old place, but then would I
Yeah.
want to do the 30-mile commute again
Yeah.
every day?
Let's just,
I don't think I would.
let's just knock on wood and just hope everything doesn't go kaploop and you're stick to Australia because again, it was a long process. You got it, and it would be a shame for it to be over in a year.
I
So
guess I could always just put my life savings on black, right?
yeah, besides moving on from depressing adult stuff, you mentioned it a little bit before we hopped on, talking about the Switch 2 being backwards compatible. And honestly, when I was moving my monitor back, I looked at my Switch and I was like, no, I haven't touched it in a while. And it really just kind of dawned on me how great of a system the Switch is, right? Like the Switch, honestly, is
Love this thing.
one of the best. I mean, I firmly believe it's honestly the best console ever. And I think one thing that I want to talk about a little bit is like we are getting to the part where the Switch 2 is coming out. It's definitely coming soon. New games are coming out for it, and me and you definitely clocked in a lot of hours on our Switches. But so for me, what I was thinking about is what do you think is going to be the legacy of the Switch when it's all said and done? Like, what is going to be the legacy of the Switch for you? What do you think the Switch has done to change gaming in general? Because I feel like the Switch has honestly done a lot for the gaming world, a lot. When I was really thinking about it, I've been thinking about it for a while, but I really thinking about it recently when the Pokemon ZA and the Switch 2 coming. I'm like, the Switch was a really good console and it really did a lot for the gaming industry as we see it now.
It it changed everything, I think. It
Yeah.
effectively pushed even the main consoles into like a bit of a frenzy because they then realized that um it's not all about graphics because
Mhm.
PlayStation and Xbox have just been riding their merry way. We get
Mhm.
a different plastic shroud every year, but like the technology hasn't really advanced in the main
No.
console scene. Um,
Yeah.
and then the Switch dropped, which basically put a rifle to every handheld console you ever want.
Mhm.
Like every other competitor has just been blown out the water. I think
Yeah.
PlayStation with their little like handheld device has a little niche.
Mhm.
But it is just a $200-300 extension of your PlayStation 5. That's
Yeah.
that's effectively it. It's a dedicated own console. I think that it will go down as the greatest step up of a console ever,
Oh yeah.
hands down,
Like this.
hands down.
Yeah. It's
Whether
honestly
they
really.
continue to make it Switch 2, Switch 3, Switch 4, I don't know where Nintendo could take a handheld console next. I do think they will. In my mind, the most feasible thing is that you just stick with this formula until people get bored, or technology advances to a point where maybe the Switch 3 has like maybe a
VR or something like
foldable or
that.
flexible screen. Yeah, it gets
Yeah.
powerful enough for VR, so they can do different types of
Mhm.
peripherals. Um, Other than that, I think I can't see any more innovation from a handheld console, honestly.
Yeah. No, there really isn't much. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. And it's kind of funny you brought up the PlayStation thing. What the Switch did is it gave console. It really just narrowed home that modern day handheld consoles could still be a thing, right? Because you think about it, right? You had the DS and you had the PSP. You had Nintendo always had its handheld, and Nintendo was always a handheld guy. But the PlayStation came in with the PSP, which was honestly great. I didn't personally have a PSP, but a lot of people loved the PSP.
I've still got
And,
mine
and then
somewhere.
the yeah, and then the PS Vita came out, that kind of flopped, and then Sony backed off of it, and Nintendo kept doing it, and then the Switch comes out, right? And the Switch is this amazing dual console thing. You can take it on the go, you can plug it in the dock. Games run smoothly in handheld mode. Most of them, besides Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, shame on you. Um, but most games are running really well on the Switch. And then what comes out after the Switch? You have the Steam Deck come out, which is
Yep.
definitely a rebuttal to the Switch. And then you have the PS5, not this, whatever the PS Portal
I,
thing,
yeah.
portable thing that they have, which is, I mean, it's not technically a take it where you ever you want to go. You still have to connect to your home Wi-Fi thing, but it's still the idea of people want it and people desire having the ability to play games comfortably, like not having to be attached to a TV. And I think that's a cool legacy that the Switch really did, is it really revitalized again the handheld gaming scene, which in all ways about it was pretty much dead because Nintendo had a monopoly on it. Now it still pretty much does have a monopoly. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Steam Deck user base is nowhere near the Switch user base, and God, I personally don't know a single soul that has a PlayStation Portable. But that being said, is the fact that those things still are a thing and people are putting money in it. And I will not be surprised that within the next 2 to 3 years, Xbox has something very similar to a handhold thing that just plays Game Pass games. And I think that's really going to be the legacy that people look back on the Switch for, is like it brought back handheld gaming to the mainstream and making it more viable, that other companies that probably washed their hands of it said, you know what, we'll just leave that to Nintendo. They're like, you know what, let's see what we can do with it. And for the most part, specifically with the Steam Deck itself, it's been a pretty big success. I know quite a few people that actually have Steam Decks and enjoy their Steam Decks a lot. I mean, you being one of
Me
them.
included. Yep.
Yeah, they're great, and so definitely that's all thanks to the Switch. And then also, when we think about it too, thinking about the game library of the Nintendo Switch is honestly pretty insane. Like, you don't really have too much of a competition when it comes to grade A, like I would honestly say game of the year, gaming legends, legacies, next to maybe like the OG PlayStation 2 with games. Like, you've got Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Um you got those two Zelda games that have got, you got Animal Crossing, you've got Mario Odyssey, you've got Mario Kart 9, Smash Bros. Ult. Like, the amount of amazing, like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 games that are Nintendo exclusive games, mind you, is also mind blowing as heck. Like, you got your bang for your buck as a gamer when you play the Switch.
Yeah, you've got a lot of options. You've got like I'm kind of not the person to toot the horn of the old
Mhm,
Switch because I tend to just stay into the main titles. It's
mm,
usually Mario Kart, Zelda, Pokemon for me. I don't branch
mhm.
out too far because a lot of the games are driven towards like more cartoony based anime. Like
Yeah,
the anime like cycle of the Switch is huge. Like I
that's
don't even
great.
want to think about how thousands upon thousands of titles that come out
Mhm,
every single like well not every single year, but for the whole life cycle of that Switch.
mhm.
I feel like when you go into like a game store now, if you still have one because digital digital copies are
All the rage.
killing the high
Yeah.
street. Um, the I feel like the Switch wall is always kind of small, and that is
Mhm.
not a fair representation of the games, the amount of games that the Switch has.
Well, half
That
the
being
game, well, 75% of the games are digital.
Yeah.
like on the digital storefront. You can't buy them physically at
It's,
all.
but yeah, like you say, I think that the quality of releases as well,
Yeah.
we always refer back to the PlayStation 5 and how disappointing it's been that you buy
Mhm.
a high-end console, and I don't want I've got nothing against indie games. I really don't. Like, I love
Yeah.
indie games, but for the price that I've paid and the hardware that's in it, I want to
Yeah.
be able to push the thing. Like,
Yeah.
my
I didn't.
PlayStation 5 is not screaming playing Undertale.
No, it's
It's
not. Not. Honestly, your PlayStation 2 isn't screaming playing Undertale.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it's the case of the matter. It's just like the one thing Nintendo's always done well and has done is by making if you want to play their games, you have to buy the newest console. Like to this day, you do not need a PS5 unless you want to play like four specific games. Like
yeah.
for Sony exclusive, like you need a PS5 to play. I think Spider-Man 2. I don't even know. Maybe that might be on the PS4. I don't think it is. The Horizon Forbidden West, which is a new Horizon game. Um, and then I'm trying to,
I
and
don't
that's
think
the
there
thing
are
is
many.
there isn't many like main Sony exclusive games that are coming to the PS5. Yes, your AAA games that aren't being made for modern consoles and previous consoles like your Call of Duties, your Maddens, your stuff like that. Yeah, you can't. Well, yeah, well, technically, yeah, you still can get them on PS4 if you really want to. But a lot of those games nowadays, yes, they are on the main consoles, this current generation of consoles, but it's like the leap from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 from Xbox One to Xbox Series X is minuscule. I think we talked about it a little bit when we were talking about the jump from Switch to Switch 2 and how
Yeah,
impressive that is, specifically because it's bringing it up to semi-modern console standards of like how a game should run. But like that's the one thing that Switch has always like Nintendo's always done. They put their games on their systems, right? You are not going to play. Yes, I remember you said something about being backwards compatible. You are not going to be able to play Mario Kart 10 on the Switch. You will have to have a Switch 2 to play Mario Kart 10.
yeah.
You will have to have a Switch 2 to play the new Smash Bros. You will have to have the Switch 2 to play Generation 10 Pokemon. You're going to have the Switch 2 to play the newest Mario release. Like they will only make games for their new console. So if you want to play their brand new games, you can you have to go to their new console for that. And that's the one thing that Nintendo knows because Nintendo knows you're going to buy their games. And they know you're going to buy their consoles because they have the best IP in video game history.
Yeah.
Like hands down. Like there's no you can't touch the big three of Nintendo. You cannot touch Zelda, you cannot touch Mario, you cannot touch Pokemon. Right? You can put any gaming franchise out there, it's not touching those games. You could give me your Halo, your Gears of War, and whatever, not touching those three. You can give me your God of War, your
Was it Uncharted?
that's Uncharted, and
Uncharted,
you can give
Tomb
me
Raider, maybe?
your Last of
Oh,
Us. You
Last
can
of
give
Us.
me
Yeah,
that.
that's a good
You
one.
can give me your Last of Us, right? But like that's still not touching Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon. And that's why people go to those consoles, which I think is just crazy to think about because I have a PS5 for one reason only because I wanted to play college football and it was only coming to the newest console generation. I had no desire to buy a PS5 to play any PlayStation 5 game.
Did
Now
you,
it's nice to
is that on PC?
have one. No, it wasn't. That's the only reason why I got it. I got a PS5 because it was not coming to PC. It was
Okay.
only coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X. I was like, not missing this
Right.
game from my childhood. It's a
Yeah.
perfect time to go ahead and do it because there's no other reason for me to buy one. I'll never buy one because my PC can run most of the game, most modern games pretty well now. And so yeah, that's the only reason why. And yeah, I'm playing now PS5 games now, and I usually now stick to gaming on my PS5 because it runs just as well as my computer. But it's the thing is like it wasn't a necessity for me. Like I had to buy a PS5 for just that game. It wasn't because I was a PS5 fanboy and I wanted to play all these PS5 games. I wanted to play college football and I wanted to get a console that was going to allow me to play it.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I think
that's
you
telling for a lot of things because I think college football was a big one for the people jumping to the newer consoles because you can play all your basic sports games and your Call of Duties on the old systems. College football was one of the first sports games to only be made for the new consoles. And then another big jump um, is going to be GTA 6 when it comes out. Like
yeah,
everyone, because it's only coming to modern consoles and PC. And usually, I don't think Rockstar will do this because I think they've learned their ways. Usually, most games, Rockstar games, take about a month to come out on PC after console release. I don't think they're going to have an issue with that because the game's been in development for 15 fucking years at this point. It feels like. Um, um, but when it does drop, everyone and their mother is going to buy the console to play because it's not coming to PS4 and
yeah, if they
Xbox.
don't have it already, yeah.
Yeah, that's a console shipper is GTA 6, right? And
And we
so
shouldn't be
like
getting that, like, 5 years into the cycle. Like,
no,
it shouldn't
no,
be
we
that way.
shouldn't. We
I think
shouldn't
you did
because
touch on something interesting, though, so the rise of
mhm,
PC gaming as well. Like you said that
yeah,
we've both got very mediocre PCs. I would say mine is, lower to middle end. Um,
yeah,
it's a very old system that I've just slowly upgraded as time's gone on. But I think the
uh-huh,
accessibility of the PC market as well has been a major, like, nail in the coffin for
yeah,
consoles, especially with the rise of, like, PC Specialist, and I don't know what PC makers
mhm.
you've got over there that sell pre-builts, but I definitely know there are a lot.
I buy power is a big one.
Uh,
That's where I got this. I guess where I got my PC it was through Best Buy, but it was through I buy power on Best
yeah,
Buy's website.
so now, like, PC gaming is way more accessible to people that
Yeah,
would be put off by it, and especially because, like,
mhm.
everyone knows how to use a PC. It's just
Yeah, it's
and
not hard.
it's it's now most games have got compatibility with controllers, so your
Yeah,
PC is now your console. It can
mhm,
work with a PlayStation 5 pad with full haptic compatibility. The whole point of the PlayStation
mhm.
5, one of the big innovations, is that this little white pad has, like, 14 to
Haptic feedback. Yeah,
25 rumble strips that I turn all of them off.
yeah,
A lot of the innovation was in the controller, and now
mhm,
you can use it on your PC, and your PC
yeah,
will generically perform better than your console will,
yeah,
given that it's got independent parts. It's not got APUs,
mhm,
it's got a CPU. Your
yeah,
GPU can be full size, fully
mhm,
cooled, and
yeah.
you're away to the wind. So I don't know, like, PC is probably where most
PC,
people are going now. And
yeah, I mean that's the thing. Again, we talked about it with Nick when we were talking about gaming as we get older, right? When you start hitting around that age mark where specifically me and you are, when you're been in the job field for about 4 or 5 years, adult job field after college for about 4 to 5 years, you're hitting your mid to late 20s, early 30s. You've got if you've been adulting the right way, you've got access to adult money at this point.
yeah.
And I'm not saying, and by no means am I saying, go ahead and drop $1,500 on a PC if you don't have $1,500 to drop on a PC. But that's the thing. If you like playing video games as an adult, you probably could afford to go treat yourself to a $1,500 PC that's gonna last you 6 years. That if you know what you're doing, you can upgrade it every couple of years with the new hardware. At the same time, the new console generation comes out. And what's going to end up happening is, yeah, that's exactly what it is. I think the biggest entry price point is that's just the price. It's just the price point of getting a PC is the biggest entryway into PC. So definitely, we're going to have more people our age getting into PC gaming more versus console gaming because they're going to have access to adult money. They're going to see that, like you said, the graphical jump isn't crazy. And while when you go to PC, the graphical jump is actually kind of fucking crazy because
Oh,
aren't
it's
you
unreal.
aren't you aren't fucking locked to shit on a PC half the time because you can unlock your shit. You can make it run faster, powerful. You're not stuck at 60 FPS. You can go to 120, 420. You can go. I don't even know. You can go to a lot of 20s. You can go pretty crazy. I've seen some crazy PC setups in my day,
What I would like to see is
and
well, like you said, with the hot swapping of components, like, people think it's really, like, hard to do. It's not.
it's
It's
just
it's a couple of
it's a
screws,
screwdriver.
in and out.
Yeah.
And I potentially can see maybe PlayStation if Xbox sticks around, which I think we've both got an inkling that they won't stay in the console game for too long,
No.
and they'll probably
No.
lean towards making gaming PCs. I can definitely see
E
Microsoft making a gaming PC. Um,
Xbox is going to be a publisher. Xbox
yeah,
Studios is gonna be a publisher by
but
in the
what I would
next
like
2
to
to 3
see is, given that you could do that with a PC, there's no reason why you can't do that with a console, and you could
Yeah.
upsell, like, modular parts. I know that the
Mhm.
PlayStation 5 was launched, and not many people knew that there was an M.2 slot that you can add more
Mhm.
storage into your PlayStation
Mhm.
with a couple of screws. Um, Not many people knew that on launch until you tore it down and had a look, but they
Mhm.
kind of future-proofed the storage situation.
Yeah.
Um, who's to say they can't do that with a graphics unit? Like,
Yeah.
you could
They
just
could
rip out the
definitely
old graphics unit, and then you buy the PlayStation Pro graphics unit
yeah.
and stick it in your main console. The
Well,
motherboard and CPU don't really, bottleneck as much
yeah.
as, raw graphics power.
Yeah, for sure.
I would like to
Well
see
well,
that
I
as an
and I
innovation in the
think that's where
console.
I think that's where they're gonna go at eventually, I think at some point, because there at some point gaming can only go so far. Like game I mean the way games look, right? The innovation and graphics for games can only go so far. Like we talked about the leap from PS4 to PS5. Not much difference. Honestly, the PS5 to PC, you can see difference, but if the game's not isn't made for the specific like PC build, you're not going to really see it. It might look prettier, but you're not going to see extremely detailed face textures on PC versus PS5 unless the game's specifically developed for PC or has that capabilities. Now, what's going to end up happening, in my opinion, what's going to happen is I think but I think we might get a PS6, and then after that, if they go that far, they're just going to have something called the PlayStation, where you are going to be able to upgrade it like so. Because I don't graphically wise, I don't think there's anything else that they can do to make games look any better than they already do. Right? Like we're getting to the point now where we're counting fucking water particles on grass that we have to zoom in to fucking see, right? Like that's where we're at in gaming innovation when it comes to graphics and stuff like that. Like it's getting a little bit fucking like you're counting fucking particles in the sand in Star Wars at this point. This is what we're doing, just determining if something's running at 4K 120 FPS. There's only so much more we can go with gaming, and I think PlayStation sees that. I think Xbox sees that, and I think in general, until we start fucking microchipping our brains to play games and we are actually physically in the game, we're not getting any. The games already look lifelike enough to me that I don't think there's any much more room for advancement than that at this point. And yeah, I think that's where we're going to go with it. And I think that's just how gaming's going to be. And I think it's really cool how
Yeah, we're
things have
ceiling out.
changed so much. Yeah, we're we're
We're
we're we're at the ceiling. There's an innovation level. I don't remember. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about like what else can gaming do? Because we just like they really mentioned like the jump from PS4 and PS5 has been minuscule. What's the jump going to be to PS5 to PS6? Like what? Why am I buying a PS6?
like,
Unless you take all my
maybe I
games
could
away
see,
and say,
like, it comes with a monitor, I guess? Like, and I suppose they
yeah,
could go all in one, like, so you get, like, an iMac or an
yeah,
all-in-one PC that is the screen and
hmm
the PC in the back of it. I could see them maybe doing, like, a 4K monitor, that
yeah,
is 144 hertz and comes with the console built into that monitor. So you get a monitor and a console, but that's not innovation. That's not new.
no, it's
Um,
just putting that shit all together. Like it's
you're
no,
just
it's not.
sellotaping it on the back. Um,
Yeah,
I think
there's
they'll move
not
to
really much.
VR and then
Maybe they'll
maybe
bundle VR with it. Yeah,
yeah,
like it'll
and
be
then
like a PS6
on
has PSVR.
or maybe like some sort of like projection. Like they need to somehow get you in the environment, I think is the next
Yeah,
massive without wearing the headset.
like
Without
AR,
like AR. Yeah. I think that's probably the
AR.
next, and then that's when you start having to build sheds as gaming rooms because
Yeah.
it will change the whole room, or you get
Mhm.
like a setup. But do you remember the very first Oculus where you had four
Yeah.
pillars that you had to put in the corner of the room where it would
Mhm.
calibrate where you are? I could see something like that happening, but they project
Yeah.
a square or
Yeah.
a circle around you, so fully
Mhm.
immersive is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Do
I
I
mean, we've
want that?
talked about it.
Do I
No.
have space for that? No.
No. No, and that's the thing, and I think that's and the funny thing about gaming innovation is I think we're a good 10 to 15 to maybe 20 years out from that being a thing. Like I think we're still going to be playing games like this for the next 15, 20 years. I don't think we're going to get anything. I think VR will be continue to improve and improve and improve and feel and the games are going to start looking like they do on our in our eyes on our screen. We're going to be able to play full-fledged Assassin's Creed 10 and VR. I think that's going to be a thing that we'll be able to do. But like what we were talking about, like having a fully immersive game, like we're nowhere near that at all. The technology is not there. But like yeah, gaming is we're kind of hitting the ceiling of what we can do on consoles and PCs. Like I said, we're counting particles now. Just tell me if a game looks better now, and I'm not about that life. I'm gonna be so for real.
Yeah, and I think the Switch model, this is the final reiteration we'll probably get,
Yeah.
because let's be honest, the Switch lasted how long? 10, 11, 12 years? I can't
No,
remember.
not the
It's I think
about 8. It's been about 8 years. It
it's
came
been
out
a
20. I think Breath of the Wild came out 2016 or 2017.
so
So
it's
we're
so it
9, 8,
might
9.
it might get 10 years of a cycle depending
Yeah.
on when they want
Mhm.
the Switch 2 to come
Yeah.
out, which is insane for hardware. Um,
Yeah, which is insane. But the thing is, they don't. The thing with Nintendo, we talked about, they don't give a fuck, dude. They don't give a fuck because they don't need to give a fuck about shit because you're still buying your Mario's, you're still buying your Zeldas, you're still buying your Pokemons. It don't matter what console it's on. It's
is
going
there
to go
anything
on
you're
that
looking
console.
forward to?
On the
Like,
Switch
or just, like, in
or like
gaming general, like because I look at this now and it's there isn't a lot to look forward to. Obviously, Legends EA is gonna be nice, but I'm
yeah,
mellowed out of the Pokemon release because I've been through so many Pokemon releases now. I feel
yeah.
like it's something new
Mhm.
isn't as
No,
exciting as it was before, like, in the
yeah,
X and Y era. Definitely on the Switch 2, Gen 10 will be a big one because obviously it's the first
yes,
jump
number 10. Yeah.
since 3DS to Switch and DS to
Mhm.
3DS. So I expect that to have a pretty good hype season, but
Yeah.
currently, like, Monster Hunter Wilds hasn't really,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I think it just
got off my
depends.
seat
I
to
mean,
buy it. Like,
yeah,
I
it
don't
just
know.
depends. I mean, for me, I mean, there's always games I look forward to. I'm excited. Like the new WWE game comes out every single year, and every single year I still buy it. But it's not like I'm super excited about it. I'm just like ready to play it because I like. It's just I'm franchised
Yeah,
into that at that this
I used to be
point.
into FIFA.
Um, exactly, right? Like everyone, like their sport, the game, your annual release games, your Call of Duties, your Maddens, your 2Ks, whatever. But when I look at like games in general, um, other than game, like I'm waiting for sequels to games I've played. Like, I'm ready for whenever they announce Persona 6. Obviously I'll be excited for that. I'll be excited if they announce another metaphor, which is a game I just recently beat. I love Final Fantasy, so anytime they announce a Final Fantasy, I'm excited. But when you're talking about like brand new games, what I'm looking for in gaming, I couldn't tell you. I
Yeah,
couldn't tell
I'm
you.
the same.
There's not a single game where like I think a new IP is blowing me away. Like I heard they're making a Wolverine game like the Spider-Man games on PS5, which will
Okay,
be
sounds
freaking
pretty cool.
which will be cool, but it's just another superhero game. But it's not like the days where I was excited for all these new games to check them out. Like I seeing Ghost Recon Wildlands for the first time was sick to me
Do you
because I
remember
I like
do you
go.
remember the release of
Mhm.
Fallout 3?
I do remember the release of
Yeah,
Fallout 3.
that
Like
that
certain games like that, like I was like, you get excited for those games. Like, GTA 6 is probably the game I'm probably most excited to get my hands on because I love GTA in general. But GTA 6 is a game I'm very excited to play. But then again, it's GTA 6. It's not a new game, new IP I've never heard about, or a game they're bringing back. Like I'm excited for Skate 4 when it comes out, but it's Skate fucking 4. It's not Skate.
Yeah.
It's not the first ever Skate. You know what I mean? There's nothing that really gets me excited for gaming other than sequels and your annual releases. Now, there's not like a brand new game that I've heard about. I think the only game that I think has reached that level of newness, and it's only because I'm not the biggest fans of these types of games, is uh what is it called? I just had it. Elden Ring. It's
Yeah.
like the first game that I can think of, and like Baldur's Gate 3. Like those are the two or newer games where I've never heard of those games. People have never heard of them before. I mean, everyone's heard of Dark Souls and Sekiro, but everyone and their mother fucking played Elden Ring because it was the talk of everything. And there's never been a
Still
game
is.
like Elden
I
Ring.
think
Yeah, and
second
there's
DLC launched recently,
second
and
DLC, yeah, and people are still talking about it. And then, yeah, like I said, Baldur's Gate 3, like there was obviously a 2, but no one fucking played Baldur's Gate 2. But it was like this innovative D&D type game that everyone and their mother wanted to play. And when those games come out, that's great. I'm not saying they're not gonna ever come out, but there's not a game where I'm like die hard, like I wish they make this game. You know,
yeah, I mean,
I
like, I
wish
think
they do
the
that.
tabletop games, like, because that's what Baldur's
Hmm.
Gate is. It's a reiteration of a tabletop game. I am liking where that's going with innovation in that type of like scene where the tabletop simulators are coming in and they're getting like a remodel, rebrand, putting us in the actual game. Because
Hmm.
I haven't got a good imagination, Luke. I really don't.
No,
Like,
I
I
don't
can't
either.
visualize things. Like, I struggle to read books. Um, I can't read.
First of
uh,
all, you can
like,
read.
I can't like I can't visualize when you put something on a page
Yeah.
or if it's on a card. Like it's not there for me.
Mm.
But I suppose that's pretty good. Have you ever looked at going back, like going back in generations? Because I have recently. I touched on it in the
Mm.
last one. I have
Mm. No.
decided to rebuild
Yeah, you
my
told me
retro
about
gaming
that, and
collection.
I respect you for it. I really, really do. You got adult money, and you want to spend it the way you want to spend it.
Yeah, that was the
You
definition of
pick the
adult
raw
money.
you pick the wrong games to buy back in the sense of you pick the most expensive ones.
Yeah,
Um,
I could have gone cheaper, but I didn't.
yeah, you
For
could have gotten all the FIFAs. If you really wanted,
for the listeners,
you get FIFA '09.
I just wanted to rebuild my Pokemon collection, not the full collection. It's just games that I have previously owned and somehow lost. I don't know where they've gone
Mm,
or where they ended up because, like, I had Black and White 2. Well, I had White 2. I have the
mm,
case. I now have the game. But I don't know where the game went.
yeah,
That got lost. And then I had Heart Gold as well, Pokemon Heart Gold.
yeah.
So I've recently bought
How much?
those back.
That
I'm
was
enjoying
what,
playing them.
3? Was that 3?
Uh,
3 hundo?
for Heart Gold.
Oh, yeah. How much was that?
Oh, I got a deal. I got a deal.
Oh, okay.
I
All
got
right.
it with the box, not the manual.
Okay.
And it is a legitimate copy before anyone starts cussing me out. I've done the whole light check and I've tried like connected to the internet and it all connects. It's a legitimate copy. 170 Australian.
Okay. Okay. That's not bad.
So
That's not
like
bad.
$100
That's
US.
not bad. That's fine. That's actually really good. That's actually
Yeah.
really good. Good
Um,
on you. All right.
White
All
2,
right. All right.
just the cartridge. Because I need White 2, because if I'm gonna play Heart Gold, I can't transfer up to home without White 2. 170 for just the cartridge, Oz. So again, $100 for just the cartridge, not the box. But I have the
Fine.
box.
It's not bad though. That's not bad though. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
There
But
are
yeah, no,
copies going for, like you said, 300, 400 US
oh, in
dollars.
the US dollars, yeah, you go to my local game store back in Virginia Beach. It was called Cool Stuff. They had all the retro games. A copy of Heart Gold was 150 US dollars. Just the game cartridge, not the box, not anything. The
Yep.
cartridge itself. But yeah, no, that's an expensive thing to go back, and I respect you for it. Now, when it comes to going back and playing older games, I can do that on handheld. I cannot. I can do it. I can go back and play a PS4 game because, like we said, we want da da da. But going back and playing, like, God,
PlayStation
going
2.
back in PlayStation 3, even PlayStation 3, it's a little rough. I went back and played the remaster or the remastered of Assassin's Creed 2. Um, and yes, the game itself still plays well, but God, it's so clunky compared to newer
Yeah.
games. Like the smoothness of everything. Like it's still playable. It's not hard. But you can definitely see the smoothness has progressed through each game. Like I even like going back and playing like Witcher 2 is like hard for me. Going back and playing the original Kingdom Hearts first ones are a little bit harder for me. They all play well, but also I'm an ass when it comes to visuals. Like if it looks like shit, I'd rather play a prettier version of it.
Yeah, I get that.
You can get away with it with more anime style games and stuff like that. But when we're talking about going back and playing, like I don't know, if I were like, I want to go back and play Spyro on the PlayStation, I'm going to go play the Reignited trilogy
Oh, I'm the
trilogy
same,
instead.
yeah. I
I'm
agree.
not going back and playing that. I'm not. You want me to go back and play Uncharted One? Probably not gonna enjoy doing that because that game one is was rough even on the PlayStation 3. That game is hard to go back to. But like I'm not gonna go back there. If they've got a remaster for the game, I'm playing the remaster. I have no desire to go back and play older games. Like I'm not gonna go back there like and go play original Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 on the PlayStation because it looks like shit, it handles like shit, but I'm gonna play it for 15 minutes. But like, all right, that was cool, and then I'm gonna
Yeah,
go play the remaster on PlayStation 4. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I'm not. It just depends on the game. Like I can go back and play older Pokemon. I can go play back and play older Zelda. Like if the game was designed I can go back and play like older JRPGs and stuff like that. But when we're talking about like going back and playing the first of like Assassin's Creed 1 or Uncharted 1, like we talked about, or God forbid one of the PlayStation Tomb Raider games for fuck's sake. Like
Oh, yeah, they are rough.
I'd rather sit there and look at a wall. I'm gonna be so for real. I'm not like I'd rather just stare at a blank wall than force myself to play a game that has not aged well. But yeah, no, I'm not about going back and playing
I
retro
think that
games.
it's a
I get
good,
it.
read of the gaming scene when the retro
Yeah,
scene is probably better off now
yeah,
because no one's
hmm
looking forward. We're all like, "Right, we're tired now, I wanna look back." Um,
yeah. I mean, there's
yeah,
a lot
it's
of people that go back and play retro games. I mean, I get the appeal of it. It's just not for me. Like I'll sit there and I'll play it for like 15 or 20 minutes, but I'm not going to go back and replay the first ever Final Fantasy 7 on PlayStation 1 for 30 hours when I can go play it on PS5 and look pretty and it be the same game. I just don't. I'll maybe play with it for 20 minutes and be like, "Oh, that's cool. It reminds me of when I was 7 playing the PlayStation." All right, that was cool. I'm gonna go back and do this now. You know, it's just not for me. I can't see myself going back and doing it. Like Nick said, he told me he play every year he would play Mario 64. I don't know how he does it. I don't get it. Don't get it. Don't understand. Don't understand it.
yeah, there isn't a game that I consistently go back to.
Mhm.
I do look at them though and think, "Oh, I'd love to
Yeah.
play that." And then
hmm
I like I say, I get to like you said, the 20 minutes in, maybe an hour in, and
hmm
it's just, "Okay, I've seen this before." Um, Usually on original hardware, you can't do any modding or change anything, so it's
Yeah.
like, "Okay,
hmm
it's just another bog standard playthrough. Here we
hmm
go again," and then it goes back in the box and goes back in the collection pile. I
Yeah.
could probably, like, hear I've just got this niggling feeling in the back of my head, like, everyone in the listening, like, on the podcast side is just gonna be like, "Just go out and get a hobby, man. Go and play some
Yeah.
sports."
Go play some
You
sport.
guys
We
are just
did. We
sat
played
here
all.
complaining for an hour about games not coming out. Go outside. Be a
We did
normal
play
human being.
sports. We did do all that. Now we don't. Okay, leave us alone.
I literally
You
said
should
as
have
we
listened.
booted up this podcast, I said to Luke, I was like, my back's ruined. And then I was like, oh,
I
it's because
know.
I'm 29.
It's because he's 29. I'm 31. I was crippled for like 2 weeks. Like back in October, I don't know, Jake, if you remember me trying to get in my chair. I'm like, because you're like, what's wrong? It's like
I
my
can hear
back
it
is gone.
creaking.
I don't even know what happened. Like that was crazy. But yeah, no, gaming is amazing and as a thing in general. But like going back and playing games is like, I think we joke about it a lot. But Jake, go back and go play Pokemon Red for me on your Game Boy Advance and tell me how much fun you're having.
I've played on the
You're not.
virtual console recently. I got to Brock and then
Yeah,
put it
it's
back
not
down.
fun. Exactly. It's like you're like, oh, all right, this is cool. God, it looks rough. Oh God, I can't run
And then
faster. Oh God, there's no
there's
running
no,
shoes.
yeah, there's no way
I
to
take
speed
two
anything up.
steps. I take
Yeah.
3 steps and there's a Zubat. Oh, take 4. I turn right and there's another Zubat. Like, come on. It's nice to go back and play those games, but we've been properly spoiled with newer games now, and it does make going back and playing it. If you're not an avid gamer, I can definitely. I feel like we're just rambling on at this, but I think it's
Oh,
really
we
cool
kind of
because I
are.
keep thinking about it. But I think the cool thing is like maybe if you don't game a lot, like if you don't play video games a lot, you probably can go back and play the older games and probably enjoy it a lot because you're not used to like newer games and newer mechanics. I just think it's just for most people that play consistently games a majority of their free time, like that's their hobby. I think it would be harder for them to go back and play older games. Now, if I hadn't played a video game, don't hadn't played a video game in 5 or 10 years, and I still had my PlayStation 3, I'd probably love playing Assassin's Creed 2 on that. But coming back to having a PS5, it is harder to go back and doing that. But I can see
Yeah.
the appeal. I'm not saying I don't see the appeal. I'm just saying it's just not for me.
And everyone needs to chill out. Everyone's spending too much money. Inflation needs to stop in the gaming
Oh,
scene.
don't even get
Like
don't even get me
every
started on inflation,
if it,
boy.
yeah,
Don't
like
even get me.
everything just needs to start being normal prices again. I want to go to a store and I just want to buy one pack of Pokemon cards. I don't want to like interact with people. I don't want to have
Yeah,
to go and get them to get the key to unlock the box to then
yeah,
give me one pack. I
right.
want it back to normal. I want it. I'm sounding like an old buggy. You're back in the
I
old
want to.
days.
I want to be able to walk in my Target, look to my left, and literally see a card shelf full of cards. Not a card shelf full of cards, except the middle is completely missing because everyone took all the Pokemon.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna find my Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm gonna find my Magic, I'm gonna find my Disney and random different cards. But man, it's crazy. It's just like you got a whole wall full of cards, and it looks really nice. And then there's the middle section, which was Pokemon, just barren. It's like it's missing an entire puzzle piece. It's crazy.
and I do miss
It's
going into
wild.
stores as well and then just browsing the games. Like
Yeah, I
this one
loved
looks good.
GameStop, man.
Like
GameStop
I'll
was so
pick that up
cool.
and buy that. But no,
Mm-hmm.
not anymore.
Nope,
I suppose
not anymore. We
we have
watch
rambled
trailers
enough.
now.
Yeah. Oh
Yes, we've
god.
rambled. We watch trailers and stuff, looking at the back of our games. We're like, oh man, 60 playable characters. Oh, super cool maps, cool graphics. Oh, this looks great. Cool. I'll buy it. And now we're like, all right, what does the Metacritic score say? What's
Yeah.
the trailer say? Okay. Uh-huh. All right, user reviews for okay. Uh, I'll hold off. I'll wait for it to go on sale.
But yeah, I think we've
I
rambled a
think
bit
we've
too
rambled
much
enough.
deep
we
dive into
have,
the
we
gaming
have.
scene.
So
Oh
it was
man.
not. Like, this is what happens. We don't have a plan, and we just naturally. That's why there's a controller in the logo, guys. We know exactly where our mind space is going to go, and it's always going to somehow revolve back to Pokemon or gaming it somehow. But like Jake said, we've talked enough about it, guys. We've really have enjoyed. I hope you guys have enjoyed this podcast as well. Fun things coming in the future. There's going to be this Sunday. Me and good old Nick are going to be doing a little spin off with the DHH, doing a little wrestling podcast. It's going to be more details, but it'll be coming out this same week as the DHH. It'll be coming out like a day after. So definitely give that a check if you guys like wrestling or you just want to hear me and Nick ramble on about wrestling as that. And then next week, and we're going to have a special guest. It'll be me and a special guest sitting down talking about a little bit about content creation and I always say, due to content creation, guys, me and Jake have met some really cool people over the years, and we've got some pretty cool friends. So, always be on the lookout for some cool little maybe sit down one-on-one podcasts with some pretty cool people that we get to know. But as always, guys, I've been Luke. That's been Jake, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.